welcome to part 2 of our complete 34 movie ranking of all the DC films. This week, we're jumping right back in to the broadcast with our look at the number 22 movie of the week, and we're going to count down all of them up till number 13, and then next week, our final episode of this ranking will drop, where we'll take you from number 12 to number 1. Enjoy! So, at number 22 for me is Suicide Squad, of course, making sure everybody's clear on which one this is. This is, of course, the 2016 David Ayer movie. But yeah, I think this movie was a huge hit. There was a lot of interest from the comic book movie community to go see this movie, especially because of the Joker and Harley Quinn. And they completely squandered the opportunity. It's a bombastic failure that took cues from Zack Snyder's movie instead of John Ostrander's really top-notch comic book series. So this was a huge disappointment. And number 22, Suicide Squad.
The Dark Knight Rises. Christopher Nolan goes back to the bait and switch. Well, one too many times. Here with Talia al Ghul. But in Batman Begins, it was her dad's identity that was swapped between, who was it, Watanabe and Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
I like Tom Hardy in the right roles. I don't think this was the right role for him. He lacked the physical presence. I don't need a guy jacked up like the guy who played Bane in Batman and Robin, who died like the year later.
Right.
From too much steroid use. I did not believe him as Bane. And the voice is just incredibly important.
Yeah, I was going to say the voice on Christian Bale is starting to get...
Oh, no, that was my attempt at Tom Hardy.
Oh, I thought that was your Batman, because Batman's like,
yeah, no,
he sounds... I couldn't take the movie seriously. But it does have a great poster, I must say. 21, Wonder Woman 1984 for me. This movie starts out so well. You have that opening sequence with her as a young girl, and then that great scene that takes place in the mall that sort of sets up that 80s setting for the movie. And at that point, about half hour into the movie, I was like, man, it's so good to see Wonder Woman on screen again. I'm so happy to be here. And by the end of the film, the movie just doesn't ever find its voice. The villain's too zeitgeisty. And Cheetah is kind of just a side gig and doesn't really add to the film's suspense. And then there's this whole storyline with Steve Trevor that is absolutely shoehorned in for just bringing Chris Pine back. And the whole movie was a massive disappointment. And I haven't even gone back to watch it again. Wonder Woman 84 at number 21.
It broke my heart, Dave. It broke my heart.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
All right. Number 21, The Return of Swamp Thing.
Okay.
As with the original, this campier take with a more huggable Swampy. It really sings when it features the kids. That hijinks makes this movie for me. And I love the scene ripped right from the comics where Heather Locklear takes like that hallucinatory trip. Well, I think they end up making love as man and woman.
Right.
Like taking on a flesh-like form in her state of mind. Anyway, yeah, it's very much adapted from Alan Moore's run. So yeah, it was this weird mix of some stuff that was fairly faithful to Alan Moore's storytelling and totally campy, Jim Wynorski touches. But yeah, I quite enjoy it. For enjoyability, The Return of Swamp Thing is number 21.
At number 20 for me, here's where we run into my ranking of the Justice League movies. So at number 20 is Justice League. I actually like this movie more than the ones we've just talked about, because it was the first time we had been able to see the Flash and Wonder Woman and Cyborg and Superman and Batman and everybody together on screen at one time.
Which is why it should have been so much more.
It should have been way, way more, and I always dreamed of a Justice League movie, and we got teased by George Miller back in the day. Zack Snyder doesn't earn jack squat in any of his prior films to this one, and therefore none of it really resonates, and none of it really makes sense because of the two different filmmakers taking a shot at what was actually made. So number 20 is where I put Justice League.
Unlike all of your other choices, I have had no respect for the rest of your list, even the ones we've had on the same. Number 20.
I'm scandalized by your list as well.
Superman Returns at number 20 for me. Bryan Singer claimed to want to honor and continue Donner's work, as though this film fell right after Superman 2, pretending 3 and 4 never happened. But he botches the job so badly with some of the casting, especially, I assume that Kate Bosworth was cast to lure Kevin Spacey to the project since they were tight at the time. My biggest fib with that flick, though, is how at the end of Superman 2, as I think he's placing the dome on top of the White House or whatever, the flag, and he says, sorry I haven't been around, or it won't happen again, and then he flies off. That's the very last message that it leaves us with, and this is supposed to pick up after that. 5 years later, he's gone. He's left town so soon. He split so quickly after loving up Lois that he doesn't even know she's expecting. Which, with his super abilities, he should be attuned to any life in their way. Anyway, just the whole thing betrays the spirit of Superman 1 and 2. Brandon Routh does the best that he can. I quite like some of the casting.
Mm-hmm. He is good.
Yeah.
I don't like his costume. The S is too small, and it hasn't aged well.
Couple great set pieces, good cameos for Jack Larson and Noel Neal.
Yeah.
Not both of them, not too many years before they left this world.
Well, at number 19, as you may have figured out already, I have the Snyder Cut of the Justice League films. And I liked it a little bit more. Some of the pieces don't fit together quite the way they should. Steppenwolf is much better rendered and well-rounded in this. But ultimately, it's just more of the same. And Zack Snyder indulges this sort of pompousness. Felt like it was just so overblown and unearned. Again, all of the Zack Snyder movies mostly have unearned moments.
Number 19 for me, Swamp Thing.
Ooh, very high, actually.
As with Daryl and Omar in the first movie, the Bayou Boy, Reggie Batts is the actor's name, his only role ever. But anyway, he's amazing. He makes this movie for me. It's like he steps in from another film entirely. There's an authenticity about him and a beauty. That would be my main reason for loving Swamp Thing. But there's also much more to recommend the movie.
Number 18 for me is Batman Returns. The movie kind of left me with a taste in my mouth after, and it's not that it's such a bad movie as much as it just kind of grossed me out and made me feel sad after I watched it. I felt like it was a good movie, but a movie that just kind of left me feeling poopy after.
But this along with Ed Wood and a couple others, I feel though is like the most pure cinematic vision you can get from Tim Burton. Like I feel like it's really 100% unfiltered Timmy. Yeah, no, it's a little higher on my list, but not that much higher.
Well, what do you got at 18?
Number 18, Man of Steel. It's gloomy, it's boring. Jonathan Kent gives some terrible advice to his son. There's hardly any zip or light touch to the film, which to me is what Superman should be all about. It's sorely missed in the fleeting Daily Planet scenes. But there's killer action and good casting goes a long way. I love that moment where Cavill is under, what's it called? The World
Engine.
The World Engine.
Yeah.
And it seems as though his face ripples briefly into Chris Reeve's face. Whether that's true or not has never been verified, but it's there.
Yeah, anyway. I see it too. Yeah.
And Zack Snyder throws around the word iconography way too often, and I wish he'd more deeply consider things like plot and character, more so than pretty pictures. I'm not a fan of that shiny suit. And Cavill's already huge, so except for the tiny baby T-Rex arms that he has, he's perfect in every way. He's got to have some flaw. Amy Adams would have made a fantastic Lana Lang a few years ago, more so than Lois now. But anyway, but she's great as Lois.
I've always said Zooey Deschanel was a wasted Lois Lane opportunity. I think she would have been ideal. And would have grown into the role quite nicely over the years.
Hey, you know what? Amanda Peet has a great attitude.
You know what? That's a very good mention, actually. Well, I'm moving on to number 17, and that's where I am putting Batman Batman 1966. This is, of course, the movie that was in theaters through 20th Century Fox back in that year for the Adam West TV series. And it's a charming movie. It's a lot of fun. It's a huge nostalgia rush, but as a piece of cinema, it's not really going to change your life. As an artifact of superhero cinema, it's a ton of fun. But I can't rank it any higher than number 17, Batman 66.
All right, and what does that put us at now? Wonder Woman, 1984. So maybe 4 spots down from yours, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Not a very good movie. There's totally weird sex assault with the guy who Steve's occupying the body of. Now, I know it's Gal Gadot, but regardless, it's morally wrong. You do not
Yeah.
sully somebody else's earthly vessel. But this does rank inside the top half of my list because the first 10 to 15 minutes of it, with the Themyscira Olympics, little Lily Aspel is amazing. That saves it from being in the 20s. It's, number 17, so 17 out of 34.
At number 16 for me is Superman Returns. I actually really like Brandon Routh in this role, and as he grew into his role as the Atom on Legends of Tomorrow, I realized how good of a Superman and Clark he could have been if given the right opportunity. But there's a lot of good things. But the story, like, who cares? Lex Luthor is going to grow a giant piece of Earth out of some Kryptonian crystals, and
who's gonna live on it? Who wants to live on that?
It's a depressing gray rock, and it makes the whole final third of the movie just kind of tedious. And a Superman movie should be thrilling you or moving you, not boring you. And that's what Superman Returns ultimately did.
I also have Superman in my 16th position, but Superman 3.
Oh my.
But anyway, there's a lot that I hate in that movie, but it also has some very inspired Richard Lester shtick, which doesn't always tonally fit, but it's pretty fun in and of itself. Like fun Richard Lester stuff that he does in almost all of his films. He finds some really, really fun moments. He has an inspired sense of lunacy and unpredictability, but it doesn't quite fit in this more traditional setting. I love the Smallville scenes with Lana. Annette O'Toole's wonderful. She's still at whatever age she is. That Michael McKean is a very lucky guy. She's a wonderful lady. Anyway, I love all that stuff with her. I love the stuff with the high school bully Brad. Some of that, even his scenes with Richard Pryor work really well with that terrible Roger Miller song playing in the background. And anyway, the scene where Annie Ross's Vera Webster gets transformed into the freaky deaky cyborg is something that has left an imprint on most children of the 80s, I would say. It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty disturbing. Yeah.
It holds a special place in my heart because it's the first Superman movie that I caught in the theater.
Right.
Chris Reeve with that 5 o'clock shadow is very badass. That's a bit of a man crush right there. Superman 3, number 16.
At number 15 on my list is Constantine. Keanu Reeves, of course, is the supernatural superhero. He's not really a superhero, but he kind of is. And I find that it drops so much of the stuff from the comic book, kind of rough and tumble type dude in the comics, and here he's a bit more of kind of a smooth talker and kind of a brooder. And but there's a fun thriller there, but I don't know if it's really a Constantine movie I enjoyed or if it's just a supernatural thriller I enjoyed. So 15, Constantine.
Okay. 15, Constantine. I think this is our 5th or 6th twin here.
Interesting.
Keanu's awesome, but I dock points for not casting someone who looked and sounded the part.
Exactly.
It is. I can take a raven-haired John Constantine. That's fine. He doesn't have to look like Sting or David Bowie or No. But I do love him. If it was a movie about Terry McMurphy, Ghost Hunter, or you know what I mean, if it was anybody other than John Constantine, I think it would be. I would be a lot less harsh on the movie. Some of the effects, the mid-2000s effects, bring to mind the hellscape in Spawn, which is not a great association to make for me. But no, they had lots of ambition.
So at number 14 for me is Superman 3, so not too far away from yours. And I actually like the movie a lot, and I watched a bit of it recently on the telly. And I feel like the first maybe 45 minutes to an hour of the movie is really, 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 really good. The stuff in Smallville is delightful, and Christopher Reeve totally sells it. Everybody enjoys the sort of Superman fighting himself that takes place in that junkyard. There's lots of set pieces where Superman's saving people, and it's not always Superman having to battle a villain. Sometimes Superman has to battle natural disasters and man-made cataclysms and stuff like that, and I thought that the movie really worked on those levels. You have this really genuine story between Lana Lang and Christopher Reeve that they really sell, and then on the other side of the movie they have these heroes, or these villains and the hero, who have this story that I just don't buy.
Okay.
So number 14 for you.
Number 14 for me is Batman Returns. There's nothing kinetic about this movie. It just is like it's like a pretty painting. In that regard, I think Burton's kind of like Zack Snyder. He's all about the iconography. The casting's perfect. I love the reunited Pee-wee and Simone as Oswald Cobblepot's parents, the Penguin's parents. Getting Michelle Pfeiffer, her never getting her own Catwoman film is a crime against cinema. Anyway, the movie doesn't hold my interest beyond the aesthetic and the score. I just thought, oh, that score is, it's really something else, but it's just more of the same at the same time.
Yeah.
From the first one.
Yeah, that Danny Elfman score has really held up over the years.
It really has.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 14, Batman Returns.
All right, well, at number 13, for me, I rank five points higher in the list, Man of Steel. Again, we have a DC movie where the first third of the film is actually pretty good. I really liked the stuff with Russell Crowe in Krypton, and I thought it set up this world that he could have belonged to had he stayed there. And I would like to, it kind of left me with wanting more. I was like, I want to see more of Krypton. And I like the stuff with Superman, or Clark Kent as a young boy, with Kevin Costner and Diane Lane. I thought that stuff really worked. But then when we got to the tornado scene, the movie started to go off the rails. And my biggest problem with this movie is you do not get to know who Clark Kent is. And I feel like Christopher Reeve's ability to fully inhabit Superman and Clark Kent in the Superman movies, even in the crappier ones, are the reasons that they work as well as they do, and that's why they play them on TV every 3 hours. And all he does is scream, cry, punch, apologize. But like you mentioned, that World Engine scene is amazing. The scene where he first learns to fly and cracks the earth is Superman like iconography at its best. But the movie as a whole doesn't tell a very good story, and so it ranks at number 13 for me.
Number 13 for me, Batman 66. This is like one long episode of the 60s series, which it basically is. I think it was shot after the first season. And it's a great bit of silly fun. Adam West owns that role by this point, and it's great seeing him square off against not one but four of his greatest foes in his rogues gallery. And the ridiculousness is pretty inspired. It gave us the Batomatic shark repellent. There's a de and rehydrated UN, or whatever they call them, United World Council or whatever, in the movie. And there's the all-time great line, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Yeah.
There's lots to recommend about that movie. It's bright, it's colorful, it's fun. It maybe overstays its welcome by 10 minutes. Not that it's an epic in length to begin with, but Batman 66 for me at number 13.
Make sure you join Dowel Pop next week as we finish this countdown and take you all the way to number 1. Thanks for watching.